Saws are cutting good. The wood's just flying. You feel good. It's just, everything's great. Well, today's not one of those days. Today, I'm in the wood yard. Gonna take this saw. We're gonna cut that wood. Here we go. Good morning, fellow firewood fanatics. My name is Chris, in case you're here for the first time. Today is gonna be a great day. I've got all day. I can do anything I want today, which is nice. I've got a whole pile of cherry here that I can cut. It's 44 degrees here this morning, which is awesome, but it's supposed to rain today. So I looked at the radar and it looks like I'm gonna have a few sprinkles this morning, and then this afternoon, probably by noon, 1 o'clock, it's supposed to rain all the rest of the day. But because it's so cool out and so it's a beautiful day to work outside, I'm gonna attack the cherry pile. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw these rounds off to the side. I got my saws right in the truck right here behind the camera. I'm gonna get them loaded up with some oil and some gas, and I'm gonna go that direction. I'm gonna cut as much as I can, and I'm gonna cut until even if it rains, I'll just keep cutting. But when stuff gets slippery, when you get a lot of rain on the logs, they get a little slippery, and the saw gets a little slippery. I don't like cutting in the rain too much. Not that it doesn't bother me if I get a little wet. I got a raincoat, but it just gets a little more dangerous when everything's wet. So, but I'll cut as much as I can. So that is my plan. So I'm going to get chucking right now on the wood. We're going to chuck wood, and then we're going to start the saws. Here we go. So being that it's the beginning of summer now, and it's 44 degrees in the morning, it's awesome. Kind of days that you dream about for cutting firewood is when it's nice and cool like this. And I'm going to do as much as I can today and just get a bunch of work done, hopefully, before I get soaking wet. So that is my plan. I've got a whole pile of wood here that I can play in. So I'm just going to get these cherry rounds that I've already got cut here off to the side. And for those of you that maybe haven't been here before, my name is Chris, by the way. Those of you that have been here lots of times, thanks for coming back. And we're gonna make big pieces of wood into little pieces of wood like I always do. And this stuff right here I got cut the other day when Harold was here from the Driftless Homestead. I played with his 500i steel chainsaw, and it's a very nice saw, I can tell you that. That thing cuts fantastic. I like it a lot. Of all the steel saws I've ever run, the 500 is definitely the one I like the most. But I haven't run everything. I guess mainly just because it's new. It kind of makes it more fun when something's new, when you get to crank on it. So, but this cherry is just awesome stuff to cut. I know for some of you maybe haven't cut cherry before. It's considered a hardwood, but it cuts like a softwood. It's like my favorite wood to cut, split, stack, sell, burn. Just love it. It burns really nice. Doesn't burn quite as long as oak, but it's easy to get started. It dries real fast. It splits pretty easy. It's not a heavy wood. I don't know. It's just nice. I like it. A lot of people are really hooked on oak, and it does put out more BTUs than cherry. But the thing I don't like about oak, well, several things. Number one thing I don't like about oak, it takes literally forever for the stuff to dry. It's just very slow drying, and it's very heavy, and it's a much harder wood, so it's harder to cut. It's just more work. This cherry though, it's actually makes it more fun because it's not that heavy. There's some locusts in here. Oh, I cut a lot the other day. I didn't realize there was this much in here. It's already sprinkling a little bit, but that's okay. I needed a shower anyway. It's been a while. So now when John was here and unloaded this, I wasn't here. I think I was gone cutting wood somewhere, I think with my brother or something when he brought this. And I had asked him a couple times ago if he could make me a crib, which is what this is. Like where I'm standing right now. Once I get out of here, I'll show you what he did. Was he put a piece out here, this log right here, and then he put these running down that way. So you have this end kind of lifted up a little bit, like you see these end pieces. What that does is it prevents the pile from coming this way dangerously, and it gives you a kind of a nice working area up higher instead of just doing stringers. So it's really nice. I'm gonna see if he can do that all the time now. All it is a couple extra moves he's got to make with his loader to put them in place here, but it's really nice. I like it a lot. It makes it lots nicer for cutting. So I'm just gonna keep chucking wood. I'm gonna speed things up a little bit now. What do you say? Well, I've been cutting for, I don't know, maybe almost an hour now, and I got a few rounds cut. And you know how some days things just go fantastic. It's just great. Saws are cutting good, the wood's just flying, you feel good. It's just, everything's great. Well, today's not one of those days. I was cutting along with my first saw, and I threw a chain. I noticed it was a little bit loose, but it wasn't terrible. And then I started up my second saw and I was cutting with it, and somebody sabotaged my wood pile. I'm pretty sure this just happens when they're loading them, but I found about a dozen rocks so far, but I found one of them with the chainsaw. So I was cutting along, pushing down. It's like, oh, it's not cutting. And I'm pushing, all of a sudden I saw a spark flying. What the heck? I looked here on the back side, wedged between two logs, was a big rock, and I was cutting it in half. So I don't know if you can see this, but the tips of the teeth are just rounded right off. So now I got to go do some sharpening and put my chain back on the other one, but that's okay. Get a little bite to eat, take a little break. But it's not raining. It was sprinkling for a little while, but then it quit. I just looked at the radar and it looks like we're going to be good for maybe another hour, hour and a half. So I'm going to quick run in and put my saws back together, sharpen them up, touch them up, put the chain back on and get back out here. I'll be right back. So for those of you that haven't seen how I sharpen before, my little workbench area here I got here, it's right inside my door in my back room. I sharpen all my chains with a Dremel. I'm going to do it real quick. First I got to pop this chain back on here, and then I can actually sharpen it. But yeah, I just touch them up with the Dremel, you'll see it's no big mystery. It's just a grinding tool. Doesn't matter what kind you use, but it works. So anyway, this saw has got the self-keeping nuts, so hopefully I'll be able to just back this off without having to take the whole thing apart. Slip the chain back on and then sharpen it up. At least that's my plan anyway. But as you know, plans don't always go according to plan. Yeah, usually I just back it off like this. If you get when I throw like that in there, it's on, and yeah, it's on the sprocket. So now I just gotta tighten it back up instead of taking the whole cover off. I find this is a little faster sometimes. This scrunch I have is not a good one. I broke the tip on it and I reground it off to be square. It's too wide now because I took off probably 1/4 of an inch off of it because I snapped the tip. I was doing something stupid with it. Let's see what we got now. A little tighter. Then I just snug up the nut a little bit so I got a little bit of holding power. And I guess it was looser than I thought. Yeah, this saw's got the self-keeping nuts, so they just stay on if you twist them all the way out. Now let's see what we got here. That's actually almost too tight. I better back off just a smidge. I kind of do it by feel. I don't want it tight and I don't want it loose. And this is a fairly new chain. I think I've run maybe 3, 4, or 5 tanks through it, something like that. There we go. There we go. That's pretty good right there. Get one more little snuggie. There, so that one is back on. Yeah, it needs touching up. It's not bad sharpness. You can see I can see the tips are a little bit worn. I must have hit some sand or a rock with this one also, and I can see there's some jaggedness to the edges there. So I wear safety glasses with cheaters because I don't have the best vision in the world anymore. I'm not bad up close, but it's just good to get really close and really know what you're doing. I wear my muffs, and I'm going to use this tool, just a Dremel 3000. Before I start though, I always mark a tooth so I know where I'm starting. realize how long it takes. That was, oh yeah, now they're good. Then the next thing I do is I take my depth gauge and I just check a few teeth, and it should be good yet because it's a fairly new chain. Yeah, these are all good. They're down low enough. I've already hit it once. You can see they're still flat. Yeah, they're good. Tightness is good. So that one's done. On to the next one. So this is the one that I cut the rocks with. Yeah, this tip's broke right off on this one. Right here. Right there's a big chip. Here's a rounded tooth. I could use a little tightening too. So anyway, we're going to do the next one. Mark the tooth. So there, number 2 is done. Oh yeah, much better, much better. Some of the teeth actually were rounded or broke. The whole tip was broke off. So, but now they're good and sharp. I'll check the depth. This one is right there. Yeah, it's good enough. I mean, I could take a little bit off, but oops. Yeah, they're still good. So I'm not going to worry about it till the next sharpening, but I am going to tighten up my chain just a little bit here. Now this one does not have keeper nuts. This one spins off, but I'm just going to tighten it up. And it doesn't need much, just probably a quarter turn or something like that. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. And obviously, some of you might not know this, but I'm sure a lot of you do. This chain is, I think that's the second time I sharpened it. And usually your first 2-3 sharpenings is when your chain will need more tightening. I mean, they loosen up the first, when they're brand new, they loosen up a lot. A lot of people think they stretch. I don't know if they stretch, but I just know everything opens up just a little bit. I think every little joint on the chain itself just loosens slightly, so there's quite a bit of loosening on the first use, and then second use also. So now we're going to go back to cutting. Here we go again. So I'm back outside. I got to put some petroleum byproducts into the chainsaws, because one is out of gas and the other one was about a half a tank when I threw the chain. So I just looked at the counter on the camera, did a quick look to make sure my video was good, and the first chainsaw that I sharpened took just a hair over a minute, like a minute and I don't know, a few seconds, and the other one took like a minute and a half, something like that. So that's about all the longer it takes with the Dremel. I don't know how fast you can hand sharpen, because I never timed myself hand sharpening, but I know it's a lot longer than that. I'm thinking like 3 times as long, but you could see how fast that went. And when you can sharpen that fast and that easy, I sharpen often, like every tank or every other tank, because I like the saw to be cutting at its maximum at all times. I don't want it to be kind of sharp, I want it to be really sharp. So, ooh, there's so much in there. So yeah, I go about every tank, every other tank, something like that. Once in a while, if you're cutting really good, really clean, soft wood, like if you're cutting, say that soft maple over there I cut when I put a new chain on, or this cherry, because it's got a lot of dirt and some stones in it, or if you're cutting pine, you can go 2 or 3 tanks sometimes. But anyway, we're gonna get back to cutting right now. Well, I didn't go through a whole tank, but I got so much cut I really can't do anymore. So I got my woodchuck out and I rolled this one stringer here and got that cut. And it's getting real windy. It cooled off a whole bunch. I'm actually cold right now and I've got a wool shirt on. And it should be normal temperature this time of year, should be like 75. It's probably 40 and windy. It's chilly out here. And it's really dark to the south and to the west. So I don't know how much more cutting I'm going to get done, but I'm going to get these rounds chucked out of here, clear off as much as I can, and then cut some more. At least that's my plan. So we're going to get these chucked out of here. This is the part that when you're cutting would be really nice, and I've done it a few times, to have someone with a strong back and a weak mind to chuck rounds out of the way, or just a strong back. They don't even need the weak mind. All you gotta do is pick it up and chuck it. But yeah, the chucking of the rounds to get them all the way to clear your path takes almost as much time as it does to cut. And you saw when I had the helmet cam on there and I was cutting, you saw pretty much how fast I can cut in a pile. And I've had questions before about the measuring. Yes, I measure, but I don't measure all the time. Generally, your bigger chunks like these over here, I'll measure. The little ones, you can pretty much guess. I'm within an inch either way. And I've never had anybody yet say to me, oh, this one's off an inch. It's all gonna get burned. So, I mean, they can vary. Like here, as an example, there's the difference between those two. It's like an inch difference. No big deal. I'm not making Swiss watches here. We're making firewood. Cut it, split it, stack it, sell it, burn it. Repeat. That's pretty much what it is. But I do know there's guys that use a micrometer to measure the wood, and I do measure it occasionally, but I eyeball it and I'm close enough. And if I get one that looks like it's a little too long, you know, I'll measure it and I'll take the little slice off. And if I get one that looks a little too short, it gets thrown into the cookie pile for the short pieces. Because that happens sometimes. You get to the end piece you're cutting and it's only big enough for one full-size piece or two small pieces. So I usually try to just make it so that it's the one full-size piece and then the smaller one that gets chucked into the cookie pile. But if I get two pieces that are, you know, 15 inches or one that's 14, one that's 15, it'll still burn. It usually goes into the good pile. Once you get down to 13, 14, or 13, 12 inches like that, then they're too short. Whew. Yeah, it's really dark down that way, so we might be out of luck for the rest of the day. But I've already cut, I don't know, 2.5 tanks maybe, if I had to guess, something like that, which is a good start. It's kind of nice that I'm getting a shower of glitter here. This is the other reason I don't use a pickaroon for this kind of stuff. I'd like to see how fast you could go by using a pickaroon like this, because speed is huge. And I always get comments, oh, save your back, save your back. Well, the more I do this, the better my back gets. The less bending, stretching, and lifting I do, the more it hurts. So I do this often enough that my back doesn't ever hurt. The only time it really hurts is if I cut all day long. Like if I cut 9, 10, 12 tanks, something like that. At the end of the day, my back is tired. And if I stack all day long, like if I do a, you know, 8, 10, 12 hour day of stacking, it doesn't really get sore, it just gets tired because you're lifting all day long. It's no different than any other muscle, it gets tired.
the cutting was going good. I ran through another tank on one saw, and then got the other saw out, and I cut another rock in half. It's there's a whole bunch of them in here, and they just kind of pop up out of nowhere. It's the gravel from somebody's driveway where they had these, probably in the wood yard or wherever they were staging them in landing, wherever. Must have been a bunch of gravel there. Well, I won't be that way. What I'm trying to do is just get these down to get them more safe here. Come down to this side, and these small logs are nice to work with because I don't really have to really fear them too much. They fall down, they don't really hurt you at all. I do try to work off to the sides most of the time when I'm pushing them down. Yeah, I just want to get these kind of down to a safer spot so that they don't decide to collapse on me, which I really don't want to have happen. Oh, there's some up here that are going to come down. All kinds of rocks in there I can see falling down. It's like sprinkles on an ice cream cone. There, I think that's all pretty solid now. So there, I got that done, and I rolled them down where they're going to be safe. And tomorrow I am going to cut on location for sure, because it's supposed to be a nice day tomorrow. The rain's picking up now, and it's going to just get worse and worse. It's really dark coming this way, so I figured I'd get out here and get some cutting done this morning before it got here, which was nice. I cut, I don't know, 4.5 tanks, something like that. So between today and tomorrow, you should get out in the woods and do some cutting, and come back tomorrow. I'll be here, you should be here. That's all for today, folks. Good night, Irene.